Sorry about that. It just causes problems with the lighting or something. Like, I'm distracted by it too. Plus, now there's a big gap. Boy. I'm going to sew those things together one day. Okay. Work, but I just wanted to show some. Okay, Deborah. Okay. Have 3 Ds, Deborah, Dorsey, and Donna. Hey, guys. I'm sorry that you're still sick. But, yeah, let's see. Right now there's one. I don't know. That number does weird stuff. It goes back and forth. I don't know how many people are actually here. But what I'm going to start with is like a recap of what we talked about last week. That has really nothing to do with this week, but still fun to recap, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. But we talked about Sarah. We finished up Sarah last week. And also, recapping gives other people time to come in and, join us. So that's a good thing, I think. And then on playback, people are not just staring at me saying nothing. So anyways, we talked about Sarah and the same mistakes that she had made, that they had made. They made again, how that there was conflict between Hagar and Sarah, and the conflicts caused just a lot of problems in the household, I would think. But I'm pretty sure it also caused the 2 sons, Ishmael and Isaac, to not have a good relationship. Cannot say for sure because it doesn't really say that. But it's kind of like, my thought. But the whole thing that I got from that, which I said last week, is even when everything seems twisted, if you're in God's will, it will work out. And something I've been thinking about, a lot of the things that Sarah and Abraham did, they were rough, but the things that they did that were not in God's will, that wouldn't be something that God wanted, like lying, which technically they didn't lie, but it was still a lie of omission whenever they said she was his sister. And, they didn't say, oh, well, she's my wife, or he's my husband. They didn't do that. It didn't hurt them as much as it hurt others in some ways, it seems. And a lot of times a lie will hurt not only you, but it will hurt the people around you. And that's something that we have to think about when we decide to tell lies or to omit things or leave something out of the story or something like that. So even though I know we've already discussed her, that was something that I was thinking about, later on after we'd already done the study. But I want to give a few more minutes just to see if someone else, or at least a couple more minutes, to see if anyone else joins us. But we will be talking about Hannah today. I have a lot of notes, but I did my notes different this time. I did them in question form. Because it's questions I want to ask myself whenever I go to study this. Again, maybe. And if I look back at my notes, I will, I'll remember what I had asked myself. And who knows, I may get some of it. I definitely will not get another answer, a different answer. Sometimes you may. So I did it in question form this time. So do you guys ever do that? Do you, instead of writing, a statement of what you understood or something, do you write your notes in a question to, like, maybe go back and say, hey, like, what does that mean? Or what does that do in the future? Or what kind of consequence or reaction did that create? something like that. That's what I do sometimes. So that's what I did this time with Hannah. And I do have a whole page, but that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to be here all day. Because Hannah's story is actually very short. It's not even 2 whole chapters of the Bible, but it's very significant, I believe, because of the child that she produced, or she and her husband produced. Her first child, her first son, is the one who anointed King David. And we all know that King David plays a very important part in Jesus' lineage in his time. So that was something that I think that's probably one of the main reasons why her story is told, because of who her son was. But anyway, I wanted to start out by just reading some of the story. I'll probably read some, talk some, read some, talk some, and then I hope that you guys chime in if you would like to, because I do enjoy to see what you guys think. I enjoy hearing your thoughts, knowing or reading your thoughts. I don't actually hear them, but weird thing about me, if I ever hear your voice and then I read something that you wrote, I will hear your voice when I read it. I don't know why. Like, if I hear your voice enough. I don't know why I do that. Does anybody else do that, or is it just me? I know there's other people like that, but anybody here? Anyways, I'm going to start with 1 Samuel. That is where Hannah's story starts. 1 Samuel 1, and it goes to 1 Samuel 2. 1 through 11 is the verses. But not everything is about her, but that is where you get her story from. Okay. There was a man named Nah, and of course, I'm going to preface this. I'm going to say this before I get started. I don't say every one of the names right. I don't say every one of the cities or towns or places the correct way. Maybe. I don't know. It may be correct. It may not be. But I'm trying. So, there was a man named Elkanah who lived in Ramah in the region of Zuph, which Zuph has an asterisk beside it. So, it says, as in the Greek version, Hebrews reads Ramathaim Zophim. Or is that the right one? Yeah. So it's a completely different name, a bigger name. Okay. In the hill country of Ephraim, he was the son of Jeroham, son of Elihu, son of Tohu, son of Zuph of Ephraim. Elkanah had 2 wives, Hannah and Peninnah. Peninnah had children, but Hannah did not. Each year Elkanah would travel to Shiloh to worship and sacrifice to the Lord of heaven's armies at the tabernacle. The priest of the Lord at the time were the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas. On the days Elkanah presented his sacrifice, he would give portions of meat to Peninnah and each of her children. And though he loved Hannah, he would give her only one choice portion. Now, a choice portion, and in other versions, it says, also, I need to tell you guys the version I'm using. This is the New Living Translation today. I don't know if it says it on the side. Does it say it on the side? I think maybe on the bottom. Yeah, the NLT. I'm using that one today because I don't know why. I just picked it up and I started reading the story from there. I actually read the story in the King James, the New Century, and this one, and I want to say one more version. And this is the one I settled on it because it's more in our language, kind of. And I love that it has notes to tell you what it says in other, languages or other versions. So sorry. Okay, so where was I at? A choice portion. Other versions say And because he loved Hannah, he would give her a choice portion. The meaning of the Hebrew is uncertain. So let's see. I didn't write anything about that. I was thinking I did. Maybe I just thought about it. I don't know. But anyway, he gave her a choice portion because the Lord had given her no children. So Peninnah would taunt Hannah and make fun of her because the Lord had kept her from having children. Year after year, it was the same. Peninnah would taunt Hannah as they went to the tabernacle. Each time, Hannah would be reduced to tears and would not even eat. So, I want to tell you a little bit about some things that I learned about Hannah's name. Well, one thing I learned about her name. Her name means favor or grace. And to me, reading the story, I see that her husband loved her greatly. Yes, he had 2 wives, but he loved her a lot. Now, just last week we talked about Abraham with Hagar and Sarah. He never, that I remember, it never said that Abraham loved Hagar. He just had a child with her. Only one child that I know of. But in this story, it never says that he loved, well, it says he loved her. It doesn't say he loved Peninnah. It says he loved Hannah. Now, why he would not love her, I don't know. But you guys know there are several stories in the Bible where one wife is loved more than others. And a lot of times when one wife is loved more than others, the one who is not loved as much will lash out. Peninnah lashed out, even though she was blessed with multiple children. That wasn't enough. Even okay, something I do want to talk about in their time. I wanted to read this. But even though she was blessed with multiple children, which meant she had different authorities in the household, she wasn't happy. Honestly, if my husband didn't treat me well, I wouldn't be happy either. I would be upset. I would probably lash out at people. There have been times that has happened. But I wanted to read this. This is in the Women's Bible, a visual guide. And I do have different things that I'm using. I don't know if I put this Bible in the description, but I do have different books that I'm using in the description down below. So you guys, if you want to go look, you can. But as I said in the description, you do not have to have anything but the Bible to study the Bible. That's all you need. But there are also some links to online Bibles. In this book, it says, power within the home. Women may have held a lower status than men in the community, but they wielded power within the home, both as mothers and wives. They were the primary caretakers of the children, and as such were responsible for their discipline and much of their early education and training. This included religious instruction for both their daughters and their son, at least until the boys reached the age when they could attend school, an option that was not available for girls. So girls couldn't go to school back then, but the boys could. Let's see, where am I at? In-home instruction focused largely on stories from scripture and Hebrew history. I have heard different people tell me that the women in biblical times weren't allowed to learn scripture. They weren't allowed to listen to the priest speak and stuff like that. But that's just not true. The women actually were in a different spot than the men. The men and women were separated. Now, whenever you go to church, at most churches, the man and woman and children all sit together on a pew or in benches or wherever they're going to be, whatever kind of seats they have. Some even have like stadium seats or whatever, like where they're stacked or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, big churches. But the men and women were separate, but the women were still learning God's word. And it was their responsibility to teach their children God's word. And I'm sure the fathers had responsibility in that as well, but because the males were out working, bringing home an income, the children were with the mothers the most. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and talk about Samuel. Samuel, who grew up to become a judge and one of the first and greatest prophets of Israel, is an excellent illustration of how the influence of a God-fearing mother can have lasting positive results. Initially barren, Hannah had prayed constantly for a son. I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'm going to go ahead and read this. Promising the Lord that if he would grant her prayer, she would dedicate the boy to the Lord's service. When her prayers were finally answered, she kept her word. Hannah's son Samuel was trained by the priest and grew up to rule Israel throughout his lifetime, a time of great peace for the nation. All right. So I know I got ahead of myself reading that last bit, but I just did. That was your mother's middle name. That's awesome, Carol. I hope she wasn't mean. Which, like I said, I can understand why she was mean to Hannah, because she was not being treated as well as Hannah. And she had produced heirs. Anyway, I'm going to go on to verse 8. It says, "Why are you crying, Hannah?" Elkanah would ask. "Why aren't you eating? Why be downhearted just because you have no children? You have me. Isn't that better than having 10 sons?" So, to me, that tells me that Hannah was depressed. And I have, at times in my life, fought depression. And I know that it can make you very down. It can make you where you don't want to do anything, where your faith is just not there, or you have faith, but you just don't have the power to pray, or you don't have the desire to get out of the mess that you're in, even though you really do. It's like you are so weak that depression has beat you down so much that you just can't. At least that's my experience. So that tells me she was depressed because of her barrenness. But her husband, who loved her so much, was saying, "But why am I not enough? Why can't you just love me and be okay with the fact that we don't have children together? Because I still love you. You love me," that kind of thing. That's my thought pattern anyway. So some of the questions I had asked myself was, why was Peninnah mean to Hannah? I talked about the fact that because she was treated bad, she was treated worse. Was it right? No. She should have never treated Hannah that way. She should have helped Hannah be okay. She should have, my opinion is, she should have tried to help her get out of the depression. And honestly, in my thoughts, I think maybe the depression was one of the reasons why maybe her womb was closed. I don't know if that's true. That's my thought. That's just, what I think. One of the questions I asked myself was, why was Hannah's womb closed? God had closed her womb. There was a time when Samuel was supposed to be here. Just like my children, we planned on having more than two. Well, we planned on having multiple children. I'll put it that way. Now, we had Noah, and then whenever he was 6 months old, I found out I was pregnant with Selena. And we were using birth control, which I have a whole different thought pattern about birth control now than I did then. I've learned a lot. Not going to talk about that today. But I had her whenever Noah was 15 months and 3 weeks apart. People have asked me to this day, and my daughter is 21 years old, why did you have them so close? Why did you have your babies that close to each other? Why didn't you wait? Our plan was to wait until Noah was 2. But sometimes our plan is not the same as God's plan. And I feel like I have to defend myself because I had my baby earlier than what people think you should. But she was born in God's time. And I feel like since then, it's taken me a long time to get here. But since Selena was born at that time, which I never thought anything bad about it. I didn't care that she was born sooner than we planned. I didn't care that, I didn't care. I had a baby. I loved my baby. I wanted my baby. It was like, she's my blessing. I don't care that she didn't come whenever I thought she should. That didn't matter to me. But God chose for her to be there early. So, and the reason why I feel like he chose for her to be there early is because since Selena, I have been pregnant 5 more times. And she's my last. So, I feel like I wouldn't have had her if I had not had her when I did. So, our babies are meant to be here when they get here. And I was actually talking to someone because she had a baby at an early age. She's had people say things, but God meant for that baby to be there. Every baby that is ever born into this world, God means for it to be there at that time. So I didn't really mean to get off on all that, but I just feel like every baby has a time to be here. And now I see that if I had not had Selena when I did, I may never have had her. So God always knows more than us. He always knows better than us. So anyway, I'm going to keep going to verse 9. Once after a sacrificial meal at Shiloh, Hannah got up and went to pray. Eli the priest was sitting at his customary place beside the entrance of the tabernacle. Hannah was in deep anguish, crying bitterly as she prayed to the Lord. And she made this vow, O Lord of heaven's armies, if you will look upon my sorrow and answer my prayer and give me a son, then I will give him back to you. He will be yours for his entire lifetime. And as a sign that he has been dedicated to the Lord, his hair will never be cut. Okay, so whenever your hair is never cut and you vow not to drink, actually, let me just look at this because I did print off something. What is it that you refrain from your hair being cut, you don't drink wine or strong drink, you avoid contact with the dead. That is what is called a Nazirite. There is another Nazirite in the Bible that we hear about, and his name is Samson. We know Delilah was evil, but maybe we'll talk about her sometime. But anyway, Hannah vowed for her baby to be a Nazirite. Because if her vow was, God, if you give me this, I'll give him back to you. He's not mine, I know that. But if you give me a child, I'll give him back. Because I just want to have a child. I want my husband's other wife to stop being hateful to me. I want the experience of having a baby. I want to be a mother. And a lot of that's in my own Kathy speak. But what I'm saying is she just wanted that. And she wanted it so bad that she was willing to give him back. So anyway, I'm going to go on and read verse 12. And as she was praying to the Lord, Eli watched her. Seeing her lips moving but hearing no sound, he thought she had been drinking. Okay, here's the thing. Back then, people prayed out loud. Now, a lot of times you don't hear people praying out loud as much. Certain churches you do, but a lot of times it's silent prayers or whispered prayers. You're not praying with your voice being heard, as much. But back then, silent prayers were not a thing as much. So Eli looked at her and it was like, what's going on with her? So in verse 14, he says, "Must you come here drunk?" he demanded. "Throw away your wine." So he thought she was just sitting there drunk, just babbling, I guess. And she said, "Oh, no, sir," she replied. "I haven't been drinking wine or anything stronger, but I am very discouraged, and I was pouring out my heart to the Lord. Don't think I am a wicked woman, for I have been praying out of great anguish and sorrow." And in verse 17, Eli says, "In that case," Eli said, "go in peace. May the God of Israel grant the request you have asked of him." And she's in verse 18, it says, "Oh, thank you, sir," she exclaimed. Then she went back and began to eat again, and she was no longer sad. So you also have to understand that in that time, if a priest said it, it was pretty much gospel, as they say. If a priest said it, if a man of God said that God was going to grant you something, you believed it. It was the truth. So all it took was for him to notice her and her to be able to talk to him and him to say, God is going to do this for you. He is going to take care of you. And, we hear people talk about prophecies. We hear about prophets. I've had people speak into my life before and say things were going to happen. A lot of times they don't, but there's other times that people have said things were going to happen and they did. So I feel like once she heard the priest say, when Eli said, God's going to grant you your wish, you're going to have a baby, she just felt an enormous peace. God spoke to her that day. So verse 19 says, "The entire family got up early the next morning and went to worship the Lord once more. Then they returned home to Ramah. When Elkanah slept with Hannah, the Lord remembered her plea, and in due time she gave birth to a son. She named him Samuel, for she said, I asked the Lord for him." Samuel means heard by God. So, it was very quickly. I mean, it was like super quick, like 10 months down the road. Hey, there's a baby, that kind of thing, And then verse 21 says, "The next year, Elkanah and his family went on their annual trip to offer the sacrifice to the Lord and keep his vow. But Hannah did not go. She told her husband, wait until the boy is weaned. Then I will take him to the tabernacle and leave him there with the Lord permanently. Whatever you think is best, Elkanah agreed. Stay here for now, and may the Lord help you keep your promise. So she stayed home and nursed the boy until he was weaned. Now, I want to bring out something in that verse. Elkanah could have said, you're not taking my baby to stay at that church or, at the tabernacle. He's not going to live there. He's not going to be a Nazarite. No, you're not giving my baby to the Lord. Because in Numbers 30, 11 through 13, it allows the husband to cancel a vow made by a wife if he objects. And the reason why I think that Elkanah did not do this is because he saw the happiness in his wife. He saw that the depression and all the pain and all the torment had been gone. That it was gone. It had been, what is the word I'm looking for? She had been released from this thing that was holding her hostage. And he wanted to do what needed to be done so that his wife would be happy. He had a son. He had other sons and daughters. And so he was okay with her keeping her vow. And I'm pretty sure she told him. I can't say for sure, but I'm pretty sure that husbands and wives talked back then like they talk now. I'm pretty sure it wasn't all, prim and proper and everybody does things a certain way in every household. I'm sure some were, but anyway, another thing that I have wondered, and I did not look this up, I meant to. I always do that, though. There's always something I forget. I don't know how old children were when they were weaned back then, but I think I read somewhere it was around 3, but I'm not sure. But weaning is not the same thing as what we see as weaning. Like now, you wean a baby from the bottle at a year old and blah, 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 and all this stuff. Timetables change throughout the years. That's just how it works. Timetables change with everyone. So I'm going to go on to verse 24. It says, when the child was weaned, Hannah took him to the tabernacle in Shiloh. They brought along a 3-year-old bull for the sacrifice and a basket of flour and some wine. After sacrificing the bull, they brought the boy to Eli. Sir, do you remember me? Hannah asked. I am the very woman who stood here several years ago praying to the Lord. So we know it's been a few years. I asked the Lord to give me this boy, and he has granted my request. Now I am giving him to the Lord, and he will belong to the Lord his whole life. And they worship the Lord there. Yes, Carol, they did have other sons and daughters. I was going to get to that part. But yes, they did have other children after. But I found this picture, and I know it's not, there were no pictures back then. But I found this. Someone had painted it. And I thought it was beautiful because it is a depiction of what could have been of her taking her son. I don't know if it's focusing very well, but where that she was dedicated. I found it on Wikipedia. It's fine, Carol. I do it all the time. I jump ahead all the time. I get ahead of myself. So we know that she gave her firstborn to God, just as she said she was going to. So we go on to chapter 2. The reason why I want to read chapter 2, because we don't really have to read chapter 2, but the reason why I do is because her prayer of praise is beautiful to me. And it goes from 2:1 to 2:10, but I'm going to go on to 11. It says, then Hannah prayed, my heart rejoices in the Lord. The Lord has made me strong. Now I have an answer for my enemies. I rejoice because you rescued me. No one is holy like the Lord. There is no one besides you. There is no rock like our God. Stop acting so proud and haughty. Don't speak with such arrogance, for the Lord is a God who knows what you have done. He will judge your actions. The bow of the mighty is now broken, and those who stumbled are now strong. Those who were well fed are now starving, and those who were starving are now full. The childless woman now has 7 children, and the woman with many children wastes away. The Lord gives both death and life. He brings some down to the grave, but raises others up. The Lord makes some poor and others rich. He brings some down and lifts others up. He lifts the poor from the dust and the needy from the garbage dump. He sets them among princes, placing them in seats of honor. For all the earth is the Lord's, and he has set the world in order. He will protect his faithful ones, but the wicked will disappear in darkness. No one will succeed by strength alone. Those who fight against the Lord will be shattered. He thunders against them from heaven. The Lord judges throughout the earth. He gives power to his king. He increases the strength of his anointed one. Then Elkanah returned home to Ramah without Samuel, and the boy served the Lord by assisting Eli the priest. So that prayer is beautiful to me. But we could break it apart and find so much strength for ourselves in it. And I don't know if I wrote any notes. Yes, I did a little bit. One of the things is did she prophesy about Jesus in this prayer? And I believe so, because there's so many things that it just says, hey, this is Jesus. This is Jesus that did this. And there's so much there. Even though it's the Old Testament, I believe that he's there. I believe Jesus is in the whole Bible, but I also believe that her prayer was talking about, it says, he gives power to the king, he increases the strength of his anointed one. If we studied or read on a little bit more, we would learn that Samuel, which is her son, is the one who anointed David. And David's lineage is where, Jesus is in David's lineage. One day we can maybe talk about that. Donna and I were talking about, the different ways that lineage is brought about, which I would have to do a lot of study myself before I ever tried to talk about it, because I don't know enough. Like I've said, I'm not a theologian. I'm not a scholar. I'm just a person who likes to study the Bible. But I feel like this prayer of praise could bring us so much strength. And in fact, I want to type it up and print it and just have it somewhere in my house. Or I could just copy and paste it from my Bible, but from the Bible apps and stuff online. But I want to have that somewhere so I can look at it and remember what God has brought to Hannah's mind, what God has shown her, because he can show us the same things. She, I believe, was a very humble, meek person. And I believe that, from everything that the Bible talks about her, she didn't do anything wrong. She did nothing to cause her affliction. She did nothing to cause herself to, not have a child. But she was barren for a while. It does not say how long, but she was. Let's see. I wanted to read the part about the children that she had after. I've got to find it though, because I did not write it down for some crazy reason. Oh, let's see. Where is it at? I'm just going to look it up real quick, because if I sit here, I will take forever. Okay. This is not helping me. I need to quit touching my face in weird ways. I do that whenever I'm looking on the computer. I don't need to do that. Y'all are here. I don't need to be the weirdo I normally am. Let me see. Where's it at? Okay. 2:21. And the Lord blessed Hannah, and it's 2 Samuel 2:21. And the Lord blessed Hannah, and she conceived and gave birth to 3 sons and 2 daughters. Meanwhile, Samuel grew up in the presence of the Lord. Now, Carol asked, what was their names? I'd have to look further. I don't know. I don't know if the Bible even says their names. Because I don't even know. That's probably too long of a question. Let's see. I don't know that it even says the other names of Peninnah's children. So I don't know. Okay. It says that the children's names were not provided. I've never heard of their names. So I don't know. I don't think they are in the Bible. Probably because they're not, I mean, not that they're not important. That's not what I mean. But they don't have a story in where Jesus is coming in and things like that. I'm not sure. I don't know. If I happen to find them, I will put it in the like a comment thing down below or in the description or something. I will do more research about that. Let's see. I think that's pretty much all that I want to talk about that. I did have something else marked in this book about her. It just says Hannah was married to Elkanah, a Levite from the hill country of Ephraim. When Hannah remains childless, Elkanah marries Peninnah, who gave birth to many sons and daughters. While polygamy carried on Elkanah's family line, it did not ensure a peaceful home. Peninnah mocked Hannah's barrenness, intensifying the latter's grief. Elkanah only aggravated the situation when he expressed his special love for Hannah by giving her a double portion of his yearly sacrifice. Perhaps he did not understand her vulnerability, for if he died, Hannah would retain no financial support because she had no son. That was something else. I know we talked about it. It seems like we talked about it whenever we talked about oh goodness. Whenever we talked about Rizpah, I believe it was. No. Yes. Whenever we talked about her, because her children were killed. Anyway, when the wife's husband died and she had no male heirs, she had no support. She had no. That's why that the Bible says for us to support the widows and the orphans. Anyway, let's see. Where was I at? Perhaps, okay, I read that part. Powerless, she enlisted God's power to help her. Hannah took bold initiative with her prayer at the tabernacle in Shiloh. She requested God take action in her situation. She even offered God what she did not possess, a son. Her intense emotion brought censure from Eli, the high priest. He thought she was drunk, but she pleaded her case so convincingly he blessed her, praying God would grant her request. No longer depressed, Hannah went home and soon became pregnant. She named her baby Samuel, which means heard by God, a fit name for the little boy. The answer to Hannah's prayer. Hannah nursed Samuel until approximately age 3. Oh, okay. I was correct about hearing that before. Maybe this is where I heard it. I don't know. How difficult it must have been for her to give up her only son. Hannah's sacrifice mirrors God's surrender of his only son centuries later. She freely brought Samuel to the tabernacle and reaffirmed her vow with a poetic, prophetic prayer that resembles the Magnificat, the song of praise sung by Mary in Luke 1. Cosmic in scope, Hannah's song of thanksgiving goes beyond her small world and speaks of God's power, sovereignty, and compassion for the oppressed. Some doubt an uneducated woman could have composed this poem, but Hannah's heritage was rooted in oral tradition, which included many such songs. Perhaps she borrowed from Miriam's and Moses' triumphant lines after the Israelites crossed the Red Sea. God not only gave Hannah a son and a song of praise, but also 3 additional sons and 2 daughters. So, in the end, what I get from this is we should not lose hope. And honestly, nothing belongs to us. It all belongs to God. No matter what. Like my children, yes, they're mine, but they don't belong to me. They belong to God. So if we are willing to give it back to God. Whatever it is that we are in need of, sometimes I believe what we desire, God will give it to us. Not everything, because not everything is in God's will. Sometimes it's just our wants or desires. But I feel like so much of her little short part in the Bible could mean, it could be a lot for us to be able to study and to learn from her just in her prayer of praise. Because we are supposed to rejoice. Even though things are hard, we are to rejoice. And I believe that, like with me, a lot of times if I'm feeling down and feeling bad, I can listen to worship music and start worshiping, and I feel better. I'm uplifted. And I believe that God uses that to help us. So if we are willing to give whatever God gives us back to Him, then I think we'll be okay. I think that we will make it through this life okay. Even though there's hard things, there's mean people, and there's just some tough situations we get into. If we are willing to give it all back to Him, just lay it at Jesus' feet, then we will be okay. Even though that sometimes is the hardest thing to do. But I think that is what I get from this story. And I know that her story is a beginning of where that Samuel is brought into the picture, because if he was not brought into the picture, then, I mean, yeah, God would have used somebody. God would have made it happen. God would have told us who or what or where, or, whatever God wants is going to happen. But I feel like for us to understand where Samuel came from and how much he was truly wanted and how much of a blessing he truly was, then we need to see that the whole story of who his mother was. Take it to the well, yeah. There's a lot of things that we need to go ahead and just give it to God and let go of it. Because whenever she went home, the depression was gone. She went and ate immediately after, from what, we can understand in the Bible. And she was not eating. Depression can do some horrible things to you. It can make you not eat or overeat. It can make you, do all kind of things to your body. So I feel like that what she was going through was really, really rough. But God brought her out of it. Yeah, it can make you suicidal. I've been there. It's been a long time, but I've been to that point. But that is all that I wanted to say about Hannah, I think. I'm sorry that I don't have answers to like who her children were and things, because the Bible doesn't tell us that I know of. But like I said, I'm not a scholar, I'm not a theologian, so I don't know everything, and I study. Shh. Phone went off. It was Noah. I don't know. He sent a text. It wasn't anything that I need to be worried about right now. He's at work. But anyway, I think that's all I have to say about her. And I know that Donna wanted to talk about Deborah next. Is that still who you wanted to talk about? Is there anyone else I need to write on my list, or anything else? Because we don't necessarily just have to talk about people. We can talk about other things. And I do want to talk about genealogies one day, or how they work. But I got to do some studying first. I have to do some studying about that first, because it is something I'm interested in and I have looked at, but I don't know nearly enough to come here and talk to you guys about it. I'd have to have a whole lot of help. But I really did enjoy Yeah, I don't know. Does anyone? I mean, we can always, do one week and another. I mean, we have time to every week. Yes, Deborah was a judge. I knew that part. I also remembered that I have something that you guys might want to see if you can find. Actually, if you have PureFlix, this is on there. But this is a study, if you can find it, like on eBay or thrift books or something. I remembered I had it and pulled it out, but I didn't even look at it this week to do anything. I pulled it out last night because I was like, wait, I do have another women's study because this has lots of women in it. I don't think it would be good for this type of situation. It's 12 Women of the Bible, life-changing stories for women today. Let's see if I can. It's such a glare. It's 12 lessons, and it's different women. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's backwards on my end. I don't know if it is on yours or not. But it talks about Eve, Rebecca, Leah, Hannah, Abigail, Gomer, Mary, the mother of Jesus, Mary Magdalene, Mary of Bethany, Martha, the woman at the well, and the Syrophoenician woman. I'll link it. Yeah, I'll link it. But it's a study book and a DVD. That's what it is. It's a study book and a DVD. So that it's just something that, and it's, let's see, how old is this? I've done it before, but it's been a long time. It doesn't say on there. The study book usually has a year, but it doesn't seem to have one. 2010. No. I guess. It was from 2010. It's older. I just put it that way. It's older. It's not something new. But there's different women who bring a lesson each time. And if you have PureFlix, you can just watch them on there. You don't have to buy the DVD. And I don't know, it just seems like something that would be enjoyable if you want to study more about women of the Bible, different certain women. And I have a lot of books. And I'm just a book fanatic, I guess. But we'll do Deborah next week since no one else said anything. But if you ever have any certain person you want to talk about, either do it in a tell me something in the comments, send me an email. My email is on my about page. Let's see, that you can contact me on Instagram. But email or in the comments is easier because sometimes I don't get on Instagram much, and I don't have notifications on for Instagram because I just don't. Yeah, PureFlix has a special going. That's why I got it. I've been wanting to get it for a long time. And Jeff told me, he said, go ahead and get it. Just get it. You've been wanting it forever. So we sat last night and watched movies. Watched a couple of movies last night on there. And I'm really liking it. And they have lots of things. But anyway, this has been almost an hour. I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope you learned something from it. I'm really learning from these ladies. I feel like the more we dig in God's word, the better our lives will be. And that's one reason why I wanted to go ahead and do these studies, even though I was super nervous. I'm getting better. I feel more, not confident, but I don't feel as scared. Have I seen The Chosen? No, I have not, but it's actually on PureFlix now. I've been planning on watching it, but I wanted to watch it with Jeff and maybe like with the kids, and their schedules have been so crazy that I just haven't been able to, but I may just go ahead and watch it by myself. Up TV has it too. Oh, okay. Well, I have Friendly TV, so I may have to, I could watch it on either one of those. I've got Friendly TV on my computer and the Roku, but That's something like, and if you guys ever hear about the Passion of the Christ being in English, let me know, because my husband, we went to the movies when it first came out, and we watched it, and I could read it all really fast, but Jeff has he reads slower, and he understood everything, of course, but he wants to hear it in English. And I don't know if that'll ever happen, but even if it's dubbed over, he wants to hear it in English so that he can understand more than what he just sees. But just seeing that movie is a lot. I mean, if you've ever read the story in the Bible, you would know. But I do want to watch The Chosen. And also, Donna, I know this is completely off subject, but the one you told me about Abraham, where, okay, I don't have a picture or anything to show you, but the one you told me about, Noah bought it for me on eBay. I don't know, but we were looking for it on eBay. Well, I just looked it up. Let's see. I'm trying to get a picture of it so I can show you what I'm talking about, because other people might want to know. Okay, can you please? But this is taking me forever because I'm trying to go. Anyway, it's part of that series, the Bible story series. I haven't gotten it yet. I'm waiting on it. Oh, it does? Well, then I will have to just that makes me want to watch it even more. I already wanted to watch it. Are they coming out with a season 2 of The Chosen? Because I thought that I heard they were, but I don't know. This one. Why did you do that, phone? I barely touched it in it. This. Can you focus? Can you? No? No? You don't like me? Maybe it's too close. I don't want to show all my personal information. Yeah, I did. I IMDb'd it. This one. I'm talking about this one. This won't work. There, maybe you can see it. Oh, no. Phones are so mean to me. It's putting it like really weird and making it over to the side. This is the one, the Bible stories. It's not going to do. Okay, that. And it's got Abraham in that. This one over here is Abraham's story. Oh, now I've messed up anyway, I'll try to put it down there too, in the comments, in the description. But season 2 is coming. Okay, not fully out yet. The first episode is out of season 2. Okay. But anyway, I will try to link that. Donna, I'm gonna watch it as soon as I get it. But that one, the one he got me, has 4. I was gonna buy it, and he said, "I'll buy it for you, Mama." I was like, because I was buying it. Well, I was ordering something for him and just happened to be looking at it at the same time. But yes, I will let you know if I like it. I'm pretty sure I will. It seems like maybe I might have seen it years ago, but I don't remember. But I like to watch stuff like that over and over again because I learn from it. But anyway, I need to go because I'm going to sit here and talk about stuff that's not the Bible study. Maybe I need to do a live that's just chit-chatting with you guys or something one day. Maybe, I don't know. But I'd have to figure out some sort of subject. But yeah, I really enjoy these Bible studies. So, and I get, feedback from you guys. And if you ever have anything you want to talk to me about, like I said, email is on my About page. And always in the comments, you guys can talk to me. This is going to be on playlist. And I hope you guys have a wonderfully blessed evening. And I will see you guys next time for this. And I'll see you tomorrow for another video. That's just a video. And I enjoy talking to you guys in the comments there too. So I will see you guys then. Thank you guys so much for watching. And remember, don't take any wooden nickels, and be sweet.